Regularly billed as the most influential man in health and fitness, today's guest on the Escape Your Limits podcast is responsible for bringing world-class workouts to the masses that have now become household names in their own right. He discovered countless ways to make exercise fun while still pushing clients outside their comfort zone for real results in a short space of time as possible. Despite a quick turnaround in well-being benefits, these lifestyle alterations are designed to create real and lasting change. Backed by nutrition insight from years of experience, please welcome personal trainer and creator of the best-selling P90X series, Tony Horton, to the Escape Your Limits podcast. What are you doing at IDEA 2018?
What am I doing at IDEA?
Yeah.
Well, a couple years ago, I got the Jack LaLanne Award from Elaine LaLanne. And I've been coming from back in the days when no one knew who the hell I was. I was just, Johnny Trainer, working out at the local gym, broken down cars. And, so I was interested in fitness as soon as I moved to California in 1980. The lifestyle that I had as a kid was different. It was all about team sports. So I was on some teams, but the coaches back then didn't really care about me as an athlete or helping me get better as an athlete. They were kids that were more athletic than I was, that had more natural talent than I did, but they needed somebody to run over in practice, and that was usually me, right? So my father was a great athlete as a kid. I mean, he was a captain on baseball, basketball, football at his academy where he went to school. But he didn't want me to go through the same kind of process of just getting the snot beat out of him every day. You know what I mean? Like the whole journey of being an athlete and being fit was problematic in that sense. And so when I moved to California, I found people who made it fun. I said, well, this is, like track athletes that were just great to hang with. Or, I used to go to World Gym and hang out with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno, people like that. And so it was just fun. And they were beautiful women in aerobics classes. So sign me up, man. And then, I became a trainer by accident. I was training my boss before I went to work every morning. He noticed my changes. I was a young actor. And he said, dude, your little pudgy belly's gone and you got some size in your arms. And what are you doing? I want that. And so I started training my boss, and my boss introduced me to Tom Petty. And then I got Tom Petty ready for this tour. And no one had ever seen Tom Petty on tour with a tank top on, all jacked up, striated, vascular, like, that ain't Tom Petty. And so Springsteen called, and Billy Idol called, and Sean Connery called.
Really?
Yes, submarines don't react well to bullets. Anyway, there you go. Thank you, everybody. Good night. That's my Sean Connery. And then all of a sudden I was training all these rock and rollers and movie stars. So that was my start, really.
And what brought you to California? Did your family move here?
Vacation.
Yeah.
I came to California for a summer vacation. I was 6 credits short at the University of Rhode Island to finish graduating. And my intention was to go back, but I was having so much fun. So much fun. My parents, come home. What are you doing out there? Those crazy people in California. I said, I know. I like it. You know what I mean? And, I took acting classes. I always wanted to be, I thought I was coming out to California to be a big movie star. I wanted to be a cross between Jim Carrey and Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? But that didn't work out. But it worked out better, actually.
Yeah. And what was the industry like when you started?
Cardio and weights.
Right.
Cardio and weights.
Yeah.
The aerobics classes, all the step classes were just starting. I was one of the early creators of the Reebok slide classes. Remember
Really?
It was called a Need Speed back then. And so, I was part of that. Spinning was brand new. Johnny G, the original creator of spinning, we would see him in one of the gyms that I was a membership of, and we look at him and go, what's he doing? Like, he brings a person here, drags these 2 bikes in, and that looks silly because they're just on a bike the whole time. Who knew, right? So now there's Peloton and beyond, right? There's, these classes all over the country. So, but it was the 80s. It was 80, 81, 82, 83. So I went to World Gym, and there was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Lou Ferrigno and these bodybuilders. And I'm an ectomorph, and I wasn't willing to take all the things to get really big. I just wanted to stay natural, So, but I was up to about 185 pounds for a kid that, showed up at 155 pounds. And then I would take the aerobics classes because that's where the girls were. I would look in the room and I go, there's no dudes in there. You see, I don't see it. Can dudes go in there? They can? I'm going in. Like, hi, what's your name? Oh, this side, okay. What are we doing? I don't know, but you're really cute. That was it. So I was at the track because I had a friend who was a track athlete. And then, I remember yoga was fairly, not going to say new, but it was in its infancy in LA at the time. At least being super popular. And again, I look in the room and go, there's no dudes in there. All right, I'm going in there. And the first yoga class I took, I'm in a flop sweat the first, 45 seconds of down dog. And I'm thinking, I am horrible at this. That's why I love it. I was horrible at track. That's why I loved it. I was horrible at bodybuilding. I mean, I was horrible at all of it, but I knew there was a learning curve. And, you know, truth be told, that was the yoga, the Pilates, the weightlifting, the proprioception, the post-activation potentiation, all these things that I learned over the course of all these years were infused into Power 90 and P90X. Right. The reason why P90X sold, I don't know what it is up to now, 11 million copies, is because it wasn't one thing. It was everything. Right. And no one had created a program that was everything. Oh, I'm doing yoga today, and then I'm doing plyo, and then I'm doing shoulders and arms, and I'm doing chest and back, and then I'm doing core, and then I'm doing a cardio, and then I'm doing martial arts. Jeez, already. You know what I mean? But it forced anybody who bought it to work on their weaknesses. Everybody's got some kind of weakness, and I attacked them all.
So you started as a personal trainer, did you?
Yeah.
And was there many trainers around? Was it popular to be a
No,
PT?
didn't exist.
Right.
It didn't exist. And I would take people into gyms and do it.
Right.
And then the gyms are going like, wait a minute, you're using our facility to take your people. No. And then, you know, within the first 2 or 3 years, personal trainers were popping up in gyms in LA. Right. And then they kicked me out, you know what I mean? They said, no, you can't do that here. You got to do that at the client's house. And I would go, you know, like at Billy Idol's house or Tom Petty's or Springsteen's, I would say, okay, you're going to need this piece and that piece and this piece, and we're going to do a bunch of body weight, we're going to do a bunch of stretching, and we're going to do some yoga, and you're going to hate it all, but you know, you stick with me and things will turn out well.
So what was it like working with, I guess, coming from a sort of, you're probably a young guy and working with these sort of huge celebrities? What was that like?
Scary at first. I remember my first one was Tom Petty, and showing at Tom Petty's house, right? So that gate would open up, and there was this driveway with these beautiful trees, and you were in this tunnel of trees, and you'd pull up, and there was like
what was you driving?
I was driving, and it's a good question. No one asked that question. I was driving a 1966 red Mustang convertible rally sport. Like all the money I had, and even the credit cards, just to get that California car. You know what I mean? But the engine and the transmission and the brakes would go out like, you know, every 3 months, because I'm driving from Venice to Malibu to the Valley, back to Santa Monica to Beverly Hills to, oh my God, the car just got run into the ground. But you know, first time I showed up at Tom Petty's house, you know, Tom Petty's from Gainesville, Florida. So he'd never lifted a weight in his life, never did anything physical in his life. You know, he's playing guitar and, you know, he's smoking cigarettes. And he said, hey, I'm Tom. I got a tour coming up in 4 months. I'm out of shape. I'm fat. And so I put him on the life cycle. Remember the original life cycle? Yeah. It was gray. It looked like this monolith in your house, you know what I mean? So I'm used to being on level. It was 1 through 12. I used to be on level 8, 9, 10, 11, you know? So I put it on 6, and his legs went, grr, oh geez, you know. And then I put it on 3, nothing. And then 1, nothing. So I turned it off. Oh, that's better. You know what I mean? I go, oh my God, I got a lot of work to do. And I got him a bench, and I handed him a couple of 12-pound dumbbells. I go, all right, Tom, you're gonna line them up here with your pecs, right? You wanna engage the muscles you're gonna use, and you're gonna torque them up. You're gonna bring it to the top. You're gonna bring them down. So I hand him the 12-pound weights. He's lying on his back, and his arms go, grrr. I go, what the jeez? I'm gonna kill Tom Petty, you know? 4 months later, he's benching 45s, like doing 15 reps of 45s on level 6, 25 minutes, hitting the snot out of a heavy bag. And he showed up on tour just right. I mean, and everyone. And then the phone rang off the hook. Then it was Billy Idol, called immediately. Right, mate, what you do to Tom Petty, man, is friggin' amazing. Look, like, how's my English accent, right? Is it all right?
No, it's not too bad.
It's not, but it's crap, you know it. It's awful.
A bit Aussie, but...
It's a bit, oh, rats. I'll do my Liverpool then. But
better.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so Billy called, and I got him jacked up, and then Stephen Stills. I couldn't really do much for Stephen. He didn't have much of an attention span. And Stevie Nicks, and Annie Lennox, another countryman of yours. Annie, amazing lady. She'd always invite me for little walks after the workout, and we'd have fruit. She'd have a big basket of fruit, and she'd hand me a knife, and I'd go, what the hell? And she'd eat like, I go, oh, is this an English thing? Cutting fruit with knives and trying not to slice your lips as you eat them. And, you know, so for a period there, my day was Billy Idol, Tom Petty, Annie Lennox, Stephen Stills, Bruce Springsteen. That was like my Monday, Wednesday, Friday crowd.
Wow.
I kept rock and roll from the 60s and 70s alive. You're welcome. Yeah. It was fun.
And with your sort of training principles, was there things around at the time where you would go and learn, or did you just sort of look and sort of see what was working and adapt and come up with your own theories of how to get people
completely
in shape?
On my own. I mean, I did some research early on. I realized when I had Tom that I had a lot of responsibility. There were a lot of people in their management group going, who the hell is this guy? Because there weren't that many personal trainers really around, but there were some, right. You know, and I was a recommendation from my boss who got in great shape. Tom just saw this guy Harlan Goodman in the hallway at East End Management one day on Sunset Boulevard, and he had never seen Harlan look like that. So all he needed was that proof of a friend of his who'd got super lean.
Right.
And so, Tom called me the day after he saw Harlan. My roommate picked up the phone. Dude, some guy says he's Tom Petty. I went, hang up. Who's Tom Petty? Click. I mean, I write about this in my book. And then the phone rings. No, dude, I think it's... Oh, it's Tom Petty. I think we got disconnected. It's Tom Petty. It's Tom Petty. Running down a dream, Tom Petty. Hello. Hey, I'm fat. Can you come to my house and train me? And I did. And so, those were the early days. I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what I had done for Harlan, and I knew what I was doing for myself. And I was trying to avoid three things for myself, which is really the essence of what P90X is: boredom, injuries, and plateaus. Those are the three things that cause most people to stop doing what they're doing: boredom, injuries, and plateaus, or both, or all three. All right. So if you've got something that's trendy and it's working for everybody else, and you're bored with it, and you keep going, why?
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing something that doesn't serve you anymore? Or if there's a lot of types of fitness where people are getting hurt over and over again. But it's all ego-based, right? You're trying to compete with your buddies or whatever it is, and you keep getting hurt. But you keep coming back. And, then half the year you're busted. Like, why? You know what I mean? And then the other one is just, I'm doing something and I'm hitting the wall. Like, I'm not getting as lean as I want, I'm not getting as flexible as I want, I'm not getting as strong as I want, my cardiovascular fitness is not improving. Because you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Hello, Einstein. You were right. You were right. Right? So my thing was, yoga, Pilates, plyo, different working, legs and back one day, or chest and, shoulders and arms another day, or chest, shoulders, and triceps another day. Have a push day, have a pull day, and always working on your core and always breaking a sweat and doing everything. And so I did that with Tom, with Billy, with Bruce, and they were like, this is too much stuff. I said, don't you worry about that. You don't have to be perfect. I'm going to show you modifications, and we're going to have some fun. I'm not going to be a drill sergeant. I'm not going to be your babysitter, and I'm not going to be your mama. I'm just going to be a friend who's going to show you how to do this, and we're going to give ourselves some time. All right? It's not going to happen overnight. First month, first 45 days are going to suck. Hang in there, trust me. And they did. Because I wasn't, if you see me in the P90X videos, I'm a person. I'm not like some, prior to me, everybody took it all really seriously. Yeah. Our exercise, as we know, is a pain in the ass. It's hard. It takes discipline. There's physical, mental, and emotional pain. And if you're going to be serious about it too, I'm out.
Right.
I'm out. So let's have some fun. And by the way, let me show you version 1, 2, and 3. And then when right now you're doing version 3, and then you'll do version 2. And eventually, if you stick with me, it's called P90X, not P22X. Right? All my programs are minimum 2 months long. This stuff takes time. Oh, and by the way, you got to eat right. Whether it's paleo or keto or vegan or vegetarian or pescatarian or whatever you're doing, just eat like your great-great-great-grandparents did, and you're going to be okay. Get off all the fake food, all the factory food, all the crazy stuff that's filled with fat, sugar, salt, and chemicals, and eat like, because in 1970, when I was a kid, there weren't, oh wow, there's an overweight person. It was like, what? I don't believe that's a thing. And it was rare. But then, we got lazy and we started eating all this crap, and guys like you and I, we're here to turn it around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was going through your head at the time with your situation? Because for most people now, having a client list like you had was every personal trainer's dream. Did you just take it for granted, or were you realizing that what the situation that you created for yourself?
I think at the time I had no idea how friggin' special that was.
Right.
No, honestly, I went from one celebrity to the next, and I had doctors and lawyers and and movie producers and types like that too. But it was purely like the stars were lined up, man. It was the right guy at the right time. And the transition from being a personal trainer with celebrities to an on-camera personality was easy for me because I was a stand-up comic. I wasn't funny, but I was trying, to get up in front of a bunch of people who are looking at you like, come on, dude, you better prove it that you're worth being up there, And sometimes, you had good nights and bad. And then I was doing improv comedy as well, so I was learning how to, be quick on my feet. and then I was also doing scene study stuff, so I could get, commercials and TV shows and movies. I mean, I was in front of a camera, reading a script, being in front of an audience all the time,
right,
while also training celebrities. So when
was that intentional that you?
No, those two things were separate worlds that
right.
I never thought were going to come together.
Right.
And so when my first real gig was the Thigh Master.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you look at the old Thigh Master, you can Google it. I don't know if they have footage that goes that far back. But there's a scene where there's a guy, right, kind of using the Thigh Master like this, and I'm looking at a girl who's going like this, and the director's saying, "Look like you're having sex," completely shticky and horrible. But and then Nordic Track called me up. I had a friend of mine that worked with Nordic Track, and they, I was a trainer who could walk and chew gum. I could walk, hit my mark, read the prompter, look like I'm not reading, look like I could Hortonize it, as I would say now. I could just kind of make it my own. And it didn't take 500 takes. I could get it on the first or second take. Yeah. So I saved them money. I looked the part. I was younger then. and so I went back and forth to Minneapolis. They're out of Minneapolis about a dozen times, half a dozen times. And then, just as a fluke, I'm doing little gigs here and there. I read a personal development book that said, one of the little, at the end of the chapter, there were these little tasks. And one of the tasks was go out of your way and do something extraordinary for somebody you don't like. See what happens. And don't have high expectations. So there's this lawyer I played basketball with. I didn't like the guy at all. He didn't like me. But he was complaining about his weight at the end of one of our basketball games. He's a good player, but his weight was getting in his way. And so I heard him talking to his buddies, his lawyer buddies, and I'm standing off on the side, the broke trainer. And I didn't even think he knew my name. And I remember him complaining about his weight. So I thought, go out of your way and do something extraordinary for somebody you don't like. All right, let me get this over with. So hey Ben, I heard you talking about your weight. I can help you. No, okay. Hey, great idea. Don't you train Tom Petty and Billy Idol? Yeah, you know that. Oh man, I could use you. And then I got him in great shape. A year later, he introduced me to Carl Deichler, this kid out of Philly, who built a $1.4 billion company called Beachbody 20 years ago this month. So I got angels all around me, baby, keeping an eye on me. Don't go over there. That's drugs. Don't do that. Don't go over there. That's alcoholism. Forget that. Stay away from the double cheese chimichanga. Focus on what you got to do. Maintain your sense of humor. Be present. Keep your work ethic up, and things will turn out okay. And so here I am 20 years later.
And did you ever set goals about being somewhere or doing something, or were these things just unfolding in front of you, do you think?
I think it was a combination.
Right.
I think I don't want to say it was all luck. What is luck? Opportunity meeting readiness, right? So there were a lot of opportunities that came before that, but I wasn't ready. I blew them. There was one group that came to me who wanted me to do sort of this is, before the internet, before there was social media, where you would take your cassette tape and you go into the gym and there would be these audio workouts. So to kind of explain, okay, now you're going to walk up to the lat pull machine. It looks like X, Y, and Z. You're going to put a weight in there. It's going to audio tape this thing. And they had a national distribution. And I got in there and I was so nervous and so terrible at reading the copy. Right. I wasn't ready. Right. I wasn't ready. So that one, that one came and went. And there were other ones like that. But, you go to Pasadena at 2 o'clock in the morning to get in line to do some comedy. Man, it'll thicken your skin, and the Nordic Track gigs helped me a lot too. Just and then I had a show on cable called 360, and I had a co-host. So, that was the ultimate training for me. I had a co-host. I had to talk to her, right. And then there were 3 cameras. And when the lights came on, you had to read the prompter. So you start on camera 1. Hi everybody, I'm Tony Horton. I'm here with Tracy. Hey Tracy, great to be here. I'm so excited about what we've got coming up. And then you go to camera 2. Now today we're going to talk about blah 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 blah. And then it's going to be so fun. You're going to be great. Camera 3. All right everybody, here's the next segment. Check it out. You know what I mean? You learn how to do that,
right?
And everything else is easy, right? Most people who are personal trainers, right? They're so stuck in the expectations of their client, or they don't have that sort of the ability to be able to kind of get a sense of what their person needs, you know what I mean? Or to communicate with them well enough, or to keep them enthusiastic, or give them enough variety in their training that they're not seeing the kind of results that they're expecting. And so clients will come and go. Opportunities will come and go. Because in the modern world with social media, you see the people rising they look amazing and they're awesome on camera, and their due diligence when it comes to content is off the chain. A lot of them are way ahead of me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, let me shoot another video. You know, I'd rather just go get on my ninja course with my buddies.
So do you think now with social media being allowing, I suppose, you to do what probably cost a lot of money and was for the very few people many years ago, and now anyone can sort of broadcast and sort of create their own channel. Do you think as a trainer it's important to do some of the things like you did, learn improv and be good at presenting in a camera? Do you think that helps?
Absolutely.
Right.
You have to now. That is a must. I mean, if you really want to grow and expand, I mean, maybe, depending on if you're a fitness equipment manufacturer, distributor, you know what I mean? If you're making some really beautiful stuff, then that's maybe a different path. But you still have to be like you're good on camera. You walk the talk. You're a fit guy, and you're articulate, and you have awesome and beautiful things. So, things are looking bright. You know what I mean? Like, the reason why I wanted to talk to you today, because I believe in you. I believe in what you're doing. Your stuff is state of the art, and it's functional, right? This is, it's not complicated. And so, you got to find your niche. There's like, you look at TRX, there's like 18 kinds of TRXs now. Like you might want to, like, you're going to be number 19? I mean, I know there are different car manufacturers, but at some point, for me, I was the only guy doing what I was doing. And there have been, oddly enough, very few copycats since. You'd think there'd be a bunch of guys doing some version, like R90Y or X27, B, whatever. P90X was my thing. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with no one trying to rip me off, because I think what I do is, it's going to require, I think, a little bit more knowledge in different areas of fitness. Like when it came to martial arts, I was terrible.
Right.
That's the very last DVD we shot, because I kept rehearsing and rehearsing. I didn't want to look like an idiot, you know what I mean? Jab, cross, hook, uppercut. But, oh man, I'm going to suck at this, you know what I mean? But I knew how important it was, and I knew that, when you believe that speed, balance, and range of motion is more important than just lifting and cardio. I mean, I believe in a 60-year-old. I mean, young people move with speed, they move with accuracy, they have great natural balance, athletes do. And their muscles are pliable and flexible. That's what I want at 60 to 90, because bulking up and just sweating, I do that too. I have a little 7-mile trail run that I do, and I lift weights once or twice a week if I'm not, but it's always body resistance for me. I'm always doing plyo. I mean, my legs are pretty bulky for a guy who never touches a weight with my legs. It's all up, down, left, right, north, south. That's how I move, because that's how athletes move on a court or a field. So I train like that. Right. And so as a 60-year-old, I'm just trying to do what I can. I'm trying to provide that same kind of knowledge to people who are interested in my techniques. So I'm the guinea pig.
And you're looking good for 60. You're what are you, 61?
I'm going to be 60 on Monday. I don't know when this is going to air, but I'm going to be 60 by the time it airs.
Yeah. Wow. And you think that, and you do, I'm not saying this, but you don't look 60.
Well, I got pretty good genetics. Like, that's my hair color. I don't dye my damn hair. I'm sick and tired of it. That's it. You can see some gray. I can't like get some of the brown, some of the gray. So I'm very lucky there with that.
Just a couple of facelifts? Yeah.
No, dude, look, there's not even any Botox in that forehead. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. At some point, you have to kind of begin to accept aging. Yeah. I mean, 60 is, 40 wasn't a problem, 50 wasn't a problem, 60 is old. You know what I mean? But I train harder and I eat better.
And what about nutrition? Is that a big part of, you think, kind of keeping yourself young? Yeah.
I mean, I eat a plant-based diet, mostly. And I've gone vegan. I've been vegetarian. I dabble in paleo and some keto types of meals. But I eat. I don't have red meat very often, but once in a while, if I'm in Jackson Hole and there's elk that was shot in the morning, and it's on my plate and it's rosy red, I'm going to eat that elk. I'm going to eat that buffalo. I mean, it's like, it's right there. It's like, it's out the window. There they are. And now it's on my plate. I don't have a problem with that. But I have, I eat mostly a lot of vegan meals. I had a vegan lunch. No, I'm sorry, I threw grilled chicken on that salad. But yeah, vegetables, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins and healthy fats. That's the bulk. Whether I'm, leaning vegan or I'm leaning a little paleo, my diet is like my fitness. There's a lot of variety in it. Yeah. I mean, most people, I can't tell you how many people I've met. I'm vegan now. I'm paleo now. I'm keto now. Really? I can't wait for the next one. You know what I mean? I mean, do what serves you. And for me, I'm doing a big event down right here in San Diego, called the Paragon Experience, last weekend of September. ParagonEXP.com, in case you're interested. It's going to be huge. We're going to have Darren Lean down there, Shalene, Rich Roll, Terry Nunn from Berlin is going to rock on Saturday night. It's going to be a really unique, amazing, and I'm going to barely touch food and fitness. My whole thing is about the psychology of it all.
Right.
Like, how do you get what are the other things in your life that you need to line up?
What is it? Is like a seminar or?
It's a seminar.
Okay.
It's limited at 800 people.
Right.
And we're going to have vendors there. We're going to have infrared sauna booth there. There's going to be massage. There's going to be this really cool little social media lounge. We want to make it as hip and as groovy and as fun as we can make.
Where can you find out about that?
You go to ParagonEXP.com. So it's ParagonEXP.com.
And that's in San Diego.
Right here in San Diego, the 28th through the 30th of this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of August.
September.
September. Okay.
And I'm gonna dabble in the food. I'm gonna dabble in the fitness. But I'm gonna talk about things. I'm gonna talk about stress. Like, do you have stress in your life? Here are the 20 things that you can check off. No, I don't have that. Oh, I have that. I have that. I have that. So if you have 10 of those 20, you're more stressed out than you think. And here are the things that you can do to combat it.
Right.
You know, here's the meditation you can do. Here's the different kinds of things you can learn how to talk to people. I'm going to talk about character. You know, character's everything. There's a lot of people who are just cutting corners and are, you know.
What do you mean then by that?
Like, who are you as a human being? Is it about you all the time, or is it about somebody else more of the time?
Right.
You know, is altruism part of your life? Is charity part of your life? How do you talk to people? What kind of language do you use? If you're somebody who's still saying like and you know every third word, well, then you don't really sound like somebody who I want to spend much time with.
Right.
You know, it's like really cleaning up your language, learning how to talk to people, and knowing your audience. As a stand-up comic, you know, you don't do certain jokes at the convalescent home, and when you're on the college tour, you gotta dirty things up a little. You gotta know your audience, and a lot of people have the same shtick for different people all the time, and they can't figure out why their business and whether their business is growing or why they're improving.
And is this for trainers to help them?
This is for trainers.
Business?
This is for fitness. Anybody in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
So those are some of the topics. One of the seminars is called These 20 Things, and I only scratch the surface of the food and fitness. It's all the other things that I believe that you need to be as a human being to get your message across, and to stay as fit and healthy as you can outside of food and fitness, so that you can sustain the momentum that you're going to need, the energy and enthusiasm that you're going to need to be able to build this thing and grow this thing and stand out above everybody else.
How important do you think it is to look the part? We've had debates about this. You know, if you're a fitness instructor, should you be in good shape, or can you kind of? Obviously, you are, and you're an example of of your product. But what's your?
Is that a grapefruit? Is that just me happy to see me? That's all right. That's not good character. That's obnoxious. But I like to have fun. Of course it is, man. I mean, come on. I mean, if you're a 75-year-old trainer and you've got tons of knowledge and you're a kinesiology genius or something, or you're an exercise scientist, yeah, I'll let you have a few pounds. But good God, walk the friggin' walk already, really. I mean, not to say that you got to be, you know, vascular and striated, but please get the effing belly and the fat ass and get rid of it. You know what I mean? I mean, seriously. You have to, you know, come on. And I'm not going to, there's so many people who are in this industry, and I look at them and go, I don't care how fancy your stuff is, I don't care how good your shtick is. I look at you and go, I hate to be a fly in the wall because I don't know what's going on in your house, because it ain't what you're telling me. It's got to be the same. Right. I got a ninja course in my backyard. I work out 6 days a week. I can do 100 push-ups. I can do 40 pull-ups. I'm friggin' 60. You know what I mean? I mean, come on now. I mean, you know, show me the money. Yeah. Show me what you can do. Show me that you're the real deal. Live it.
Right.
You know, if you can't live it, I don't know. I'm going to move on to somebody else who does that. Yeah.
And what about on the reverse then? If you look at, you know, say Instagram for a moment, there's obviously a lot of hot guys and girls on there that do look the part. You know, for whatever reason they look the part, but may not necessarily, well, certainly wouldn't have the experience of you. What do you think of those? Some of these have got millions of followers and they're role models to people. What's your thoughts on that? You know, is that good that they're motivating people? Do you think they need more of the sort of science behind what they're doing? Where do you sit on that subject?
God, man, that's tricky, because if you're looking hot and beautiful and sexy and tan and ripped and shredded and you got 1 million followers, good for you. Good for you, man. But, you know, you don't want to be a flash in the pan. I mean, I've been at this for 35 years. My first clients were in the early 80s, and here it is, 2018. And I'm still relevant somehow. And I'm relevant because I'm not full of crap. Because I'm not just doing one thing. I'm always staying curious. Like one of my 20 things for the seminar is staying curious and being pliable, learning to, change your philosophy and being okay with that and explaining, hey, look, I remember 5 years ago I was doing this and I was saying doing this, but I've learned that the industry has evolved. I mean, look at your booth. This booth didn't exist 5 years ago. The things that you have here were not even a thing. So I would say that this industry has changed more in the last 10 years than it has in the last 60. And that's a good thing. And, so if you're kind of just, showing sexy pictures all the time and people are following you because you got a lovely butt or you got a 9-pack or something, then I think there's more to it than that. And if you want to be able to sustain this wave over time, then you got to constantly, like Madonna, reinvent yourself, man. I don't even know if she's still reinventing herself, but you know what I mean? You got to always be doing something new. I mean, I went from Power 90 to P90X, then we did X2, which was even more evolved. Then X3 was 30 minutes, which, it was all about getting more people, in the fray for a shorter period of time so we could have a greater success rate. And then, there was P90X Plus, and then, I've done 22-minute hardcore, which is a boot camp workout. And the last one I did was a parents and kids routine called Double Time. Like, there's some that are similar, but there's a lot of variety in that.
Right.
And so, that required more research, more rehearsal, talking to different kinds of people to see what would work and what didn't work. I love being in the lab. I love being in the fitness lab and going, okay, is that going to move? Is that move going to sit well next to that move? No, those two can't live together because you're recruiting the same kind of muscles, and so they're going to wear themselves out. So when they get to the third move, they're going to get hurt. A lot of people just throw, they just go like this, yeah, boom, and then they they're making a lot of noise, and they got some great music, and they got some sexy bodies. But there's a lot of programs out there that are hurting people because they didn't think them through, Yeah. And so, I think if longevity is part of the game, then, maybe if you got that, if you're looking good and you got 1 million followers and you want to keep that, you got to walk the walk, and you also be curious and change over time.
Yeah. So jumping back then, you met the guy who had the big company, Beachbody, is that right?
Yep, still Beachbody.
So you met that guy at that time. When you came together, did you have the idea that you took to him, or did he say, look, I've got this idea, would you be interested in getting involved?
Early on, it was collaborative.
Okay.
I mean, he was the boss and he was writing the checks, right? So, but part of the conversation was, like, how did you get Petty and Idol and those guys so fit? Like, what was the sequence? And I said it was kind of a resistance cardio every other day thing, 5 to 6 days a week. You know what I mean? Because, it was upper body, lower body. Sometimes lower body was pure resistance. Other days it was heart, lungs, legs, right? So it was more cardio, so the muscle recruitment was less, right? Because you can't do plyo for half an hour straight. Because that ATP and the lactic acid, the whole 9 yards, means people know what I'm talking about. So you have to you have to give it that kind of variety. But it was a 5 or 6 day a week sequence, but it had to be done, in a small space in somebody's, bedroom, dining room, a bedroom, family room, basement, right, in front of a TV with minimal equipment. So, all my clients had treadmills and stationary bikes and lat pull machines and a rack of dumbbells and barbells and bench presses and all these things. And, the average person at home didn't have those things. So I had to sort of, okay, well, it's got to be push-ups, obviously, but we'll change the body position. We'll do military, we'll do wide, we'll do staggered hands, we'll do that, we'll do decline, we'll do whatever we have to do there on the chest stuff. And then we added a pull-up bar, which, for a lot of people, they don't have that in their house. So we had to come up with the bands, all right? So we had to, we had a band attachment so they could at least get that movement. And then we sold, one of those pull-up bars you attach to the doorway, and hopefully it wouldn't, pull the molding off the doorway. But we did things that nobody else was willing to do. Yeah. And, and the early conversations were, should it be 6 workouts or 4, and then you master the 4 and then the 6? I said, no, it's got to be 12. It's got to be double 6. Oh, no, that's too much. It'll be too confusing for people. Yeah, like muscle confusing. Get it? Muscle confusion. And everybody gave us so much crap for that term. It's a term we made up. It wasn't like a real, but it was a way to describe the whole program. Yeah. Periodization training, it's not really that, but it's a form of that, and it's been around forever. But we didn't want to use that term because it wasn't really that.
Right.
So we just created this thing called muscle confusion, which forced people to work on their weaknesses. So if you're a cardio junkie, oh yeah, you got to do push-ups, and oh yeah, you got to do pull-ups, and oh yeah, you got to do, and for guys that are just lifting weights all the time because they want to be big because they think that's all women want, hey, you're going to need a personality too. okay?
Yeah.
Other than just the bigness.
Yeah.
You're gonna look good at the beach, but then you have to open up your mouth, okay? But don't be asked to run down the beach because you're gonna throw up. So we want you to do martial arts. We want you to do a basic cardio routine. We want you to work on your core specifically. And so those were the early conversations between.
And was the
Carl.
idea? Sorry. Go on.
Yeah, that was between Carl and myself.
Right.
You know, we made a little documentary about it. Where we were actually in my old apartment that I lived in for 21 years, and then people like you said, "No, you get to move out of there. I'm going to buy your P90X." And but we said, you know, no, dude, we got to make it. We got to give people more variety. I'll come up with the sequences. I'll come up with what goes, you know, Monday through the following Saturday. Don't worry, let me figure that out. And we had a test group. We put people through the grind,
Right.
and then we discovered we need an extra pull-up day, and we need an extra leg day. So we came up with you know, upper, lower, back, and legs, because our test group wasn't getting the results that we wanted, and we went, okay, we're going to pull that move out. That move doesn't sit next to that. And we were constantly doing this,
Right.
moving things around. And then we went through another bigger test group, and people got shredded. We went, yeah, that's how it's going to be.
And what was around before you did that? Because I guess that was that a sort of a big shift in sort of the home fitness workouts that were going on at the time?
Well, there was Jane Fonda doing her thing. There was
Yeah.
there was you know, Richard Simmons doing his thing. There was a lot of dancing, a lot of, you know, mostly designed for women. Tracy Austin, is that right? And God, who else? Who else was out there? But they were, you know, they were designed mostly for women, so they could, you know, sweat and change their physiques. A lot of dancing, a lot of maybe some martial arts. But we were the first and only thing of its kind when it came out.
Because it was, I guess, it was sort of HIIT training for the home.
Right.
And was that where was that inspiration? Did you kind of see what was going on in the wider fitness industry and think this would be great, or how did that idea come
I was
about?
in a bubble.
You were?
You know, I got 3 television channels. I wasn't even watching TV. I was watching ball games, you know, watched Super Bowl, golf, tennis. I was just watching sports on TV, and Johnny Carson. I wasn't watching infomercials. I didn't even know what they were at that point. Right. And all I knew was what was working for my celebrity clients, and I tried to recreate movements that they were doing Monday through Saturday in front of a television set. And then the only way we knew it was going to work is we wanted to test it on real people. Right. And I put Carl Deichler, the CEO, and John Congdon, the president of the company, they were my first 2 guinea pigs in my little tiny 3-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica, California. And you know, they were just sweating and throwing up all over the place. Honestly, they were like, Carl, the CEO, he's got an on button like nobody else, man. Dude, slow down. Dude, that's too much weight. Dude, you're gonna get hurt. You know, constantly trying to keep him. I gotta get results. I'm the president of the company, all right? Like, that's an 85, dude. You only weigh 85 pounds. You're gonna hurt yourself. And but that's how it was, you know. And when we saw actual results from real people, we didn't care what the rest of the industry was doing, because we wanted to break the mold. Everybody in the industry was saying, ain't nobody gonna buy that. Yeah. No one's gonna do extreme. I mean, Power 90, the first thing that we created, which was sort of the precursor to P90X, which was kind of P90X light, you know, but it was still 6 days a week, resistance and cardio, a little bit of martial arts, but really basic stuff. They said, oh my God, no, it's got to be like 3 minutes, and it's only got to be 3 days a week, and you don't understand, the average person at home doesn't want to buy that.
Well, that's what I would have thought. You know, the average person that sits and watches infomercials, which I guess is a big channel for a big way that was sold initially, was that right?
Back in those days, yeah. It's changed now because of the internet and social media.
I suppose the typical person may have been sitting on the couch at night eating chips. It wouldn't, to me, seem as though that's the right match, you know, but it obviously was. Why do you think that happened?
Well, we made P90X for Power 90 grads. So Power 90 was, you know, like I said, a lighter version of it, and we wanted to take people to the next level. And everybody was saying, Jesus, just why don't you work for people? Why don't you just work with, you know, folks that are really struggling with their weight? Why don't you go the other direction?
Right.
And that was actually my suggestion, but Carl said, no, we're going harder. Oh my God, we're going to sell 9 of these things, you know. But what would happen was that was at the advent, the early stages of social media and the internet, right? Where people where they could shoot video on their phone, and they could go online and post their videos and tell their stories. And so our first infomercial for P90X tanked, like, you know, even with our great results with our test group, because, you know, a lot of people were looking at it going, oh, dude, that's not me, right? But the select few that said, that's the first real thing I've ever seen. I want that. I want that thing to kick my ass. Can I say ass? I just did. And And so then they were submitting their before and after photos. We asked them to do that for themselves so they can track their progress, and their videos. And so we took all the footage from the test groups out, and we just put people's raw, goofy, with dogs in this frame and bad lighting, and we just put that in the show, and everybody at home went, hey, there's my Uncle Tom. Hey, there's my teacher, my English teacher. Hey, there's my neighbor. Those are real people with real results. In the first year it went, and then it just went like this. And we were spending, without giving away too much, millions of dollars on media, national spots a week, because it was just, you spend X, it'd make Y. You spend Y, it made Z. It made Z, you spent triple Z. It was just one of these phenomenons. And then even today, 15 years later, it's still talked about to this day. They use it as punchlines. It's in songs. There was a Stephen. Oh gosh, on the forgetting the late night talk show host. He was using it. Chris Pratt was using it. Ben Stiller was using it. Pink was using it. And they're talking about on the red carpet. Sheryl Crow. They go, "Oh, you look amazing. Oh, I'm doing this P90X." It was crazy, man. We didn't pay a dime because it just spread like wildfire, because it worked. We just at Beachbody Summit this past week, we give $100,000 to the 2 winners, both male and female, different age categories, for their best fitness weight loss program. And the kid who won lost 185 pounds using P90X. Took him 9 months plus. Wow. And he won himself $100,000. A 15-year-old program that has had $0 in media spent in years. But when something works, it works, man.
Did you think it sounded as though there was a lot good timing in terms of when you launched it and how the industry was changed? But was there a model that you were then able to do that same thing again and again?
Well, P90X2 was not as successful as P90X because it was harder. Right. Like a lot of people did P90. You're doing 4-ball push-ups. You got med balls, your hands and feet. We got one called Impossibles, where your hand's on a med ball, your feet's on a stability ball. So your feet are higher than your hand, right? We're doing levers, which is a gymnastics moves on you're not doing up and down. You're going up and parallel to the ground. You're doing pike presses on 4 med balls. These moves take weeks and months to do a rep.
Right.
And I think at that point, but anybody who did it and completed it and came up to me and said, I'm the best athlete I was a Division III, now I'm Division I. I was last kid picked on my team, now I play professional football. It was P90X2 that changed me, because athletes understood the learning curve on it. Right? We had post-activation, potentiation, upper and lower, which is, you have to go up to Santa Barbara to work with the best trainers in the world to do that stuff. They wanted to work with us because they wanted to put it in P90X2. And, I couldn't do 30% of the moves to start. I went, oh, I can't. But I understood the learning process, right? And it was up to me to disseminate the information to the viewer, to the user. So they said, hey, you're going to be on 4 med balls. It's like 4 bowling balls, and you're doing push-ups on them. And the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, you're not going to be able to do one. But you know what that's going to teach you? It's going to teach you strength, balance, proprioception. It's going to work your core. It's going to change the way you do. I know people go, I don't do regular push-ups. I always do unstable push-ups because it's better for me. I'm working all the other little tiny muscles that are attached to the big ones that normally are vulnerable to getting hurt. Now I'm making those stronger too, and I'm making everything more flexible. And so X2, it's funny because X2 is one of these things. When I look at my royalty check every month, oh wow. So this month some people figured that out.
Really?
X3, on the other hand, was almost as big as the original, partly because they were only half an hour.
Right.
And our completion rate went through the roof. Because people go, oh, it's half of what, because the P90X workouts were 55 minutes to an hour. The Hatha Yoga Flow was 90 minutes. Like, Jesus, Horton, what are you doing? You're trying to kill me. But yeah, if you want to be, then you gotta dig down and do it. This is who you are now.
Right.
You're not dabbling in this stuff anymore. This is who you are because you want to be a strong, fit, healthy, badass with only having to work out in your house.
So were you able to ever do anything as as successful as that original P90X? Have you done anything since?
That was the big kahuna, man.
Right.
I've been chasing the rainbow ever since, to
Really?
be perfectly honest. I have 23 failed businesses. So if you're a young entrepreneur in this industry, guess what? You're going to fall on your face over and over and over. Insoles, mouth guards, home delivery services, food at 7-Eleven, 5 failed TV pilots, 3 clothing lines. But
So what's the lesson you'd have, like looking back now, so, going from the P90X to different products, all the other opportunities, which I guess came off the back of the success
oh
of
sure,
that.
everybody and their brother was knocking on my door.
Yeah.
Tony Horton, can you hey, we got this water. Hey Tony, we're gonna do this new clothing that doesn't smell like armpits when you're done. I mean, but here's what I've learned, and only recently. Do what you love and stop chasing the money, man.
Really?
I was chasing the money. Because I made good money, but what happens when you make good money? You want more money, and I'm 60, so 2/3 of my life is done. If I do everything right, I might get 30 more years. So all I'm going to do now is what I'm truly passionate about. So if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, all right, well, there's this opportunity and that one and this one. If I do the internet, if I get 1 million views and then I'll get some advertising. All right, yeah, I mean, do something that is sustainable over time because you love it. And what I love is I love being here, talking to you. I love doing podcasts. Like I said, I'm doing my event down in San Diego. It's so much work. I mean, I got to put my big boy pants on because the thing, it's all coming out of my wallet now, right? Hiring all these folks, AV alone is $62,000. It is? Oh, damn. Oh, you got to buy 200 rooms in the hotel? That ain't cheap. You know what I mean? But the fact that I'm learning so much and it's scary as hell and it's super exciting and I know this event's going to blow people's minds, I'm diving in the deep end, man. Boop! I'm going in. You know what I mean? And I hope that I continue to work with Beachbody. I hope there's another thing down the road. We're in conversation right now. I think this next project, if the numbers work out, will be as big as P90X. There's no reason why it won't. I think we're getting back to our roots again. But if not, there's other opportunities out there. A lot of people knocking on my door about things that I'm super excited about, things that are in my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is food and fitness, man. It's not insoles and mouth guards and T-shirts that wick your stink. So,
what do you do to stay, you use the word staying relevant, but staying on top of trends? Because it sounds like when you did P90X, you said you was in a bubble and you just felt and you did what you feel is right. Is that your approach to where you go next? Is like, forget what's going on around me, I'm just going to feel it? Or do you look at trends and see what's going on and sort of use that to inspire where you go in your business?
A lot of my research for P90X came from what I needed to do with those celebrity clients that I had. So I wasn't in a bubble but I had enough intel, except for the martial arts and some of the core and ab moves. I had to do some more research then. But for me, it was like, okay, here's all the stuff that I've learned over the course of all these years, training these celebrities. Now I have to figure out how to condense that into a smaller space with less stuff. Dumbbells, bands, and a mat, and a pull-up bar, right? And so that was the fun part, And I asked questions of our CEO, Carl, had a lot of opinions, good, strong advice. And then I had my Pilates friend, and I had my yoga expert, and I had my 3-degree black belt Kempo friend. So I had, and I had my gymnast aerialist around, and I asked them. I said, based on your experience, everything. So we were in a bubble together. I wasn't by myself in that bubble, right. But it was a very finite group of about 8 of us that were always playing, and experimenting. But I think today, with the internet, I could create a massive program just by just Googling, what are the latest moves you can do with body weight at home? Oh, I'm taking that one, and I'm going to change the name of it. I'm going to call it something else so people think I came up with it. Like I've got, I name, Congdon curls and Jimmy jumps and Mason twists. These Pfeiffer scissors. These are all named after friends of mine. You know what I mean? Like, I could just call it, like what everybody, I hate calling things what they're normally called. I want to reinvent, like, oh, you're Scotty Pfeiffer scissors? I mean, Scott Pfeiffer walks through airports and go, oh my God, I love your scissors. You know what I mean? I love reinventing the wheel, or at least altering it to make it feel new and fresh. You know, like, you know, Jimmy Jump Jam. That's a move. Like there's no one ever, you know, maybe that's a move in Australia or Korea, I don't know. But Jimmy Jump Jam is a brand new move that is really two moves put together into one.
And what, do you do that because it's good marketing, or is it that, are you trying to do something to the people that are watching and consuming it? Is there a reason behind that?
Well, you know, there are push-ups and there are pull-ups and there are squats and lunges and there are crunches and there's everything else that spreads out from that. But there are, you know, there's a very finite group of moves. But my favorite thing is to create something from scratch. It's not like, you know, we've got 2 arms and 2 legs, right, in a core. But when people go like, oh my God, what is like, you know, water bugs? What is a water bug? You know, it's a lateral plyometric push-up. So you got your legs and arms wide. Not that hasn't been invented before, but it hasn't been in really too many programs. And how do you modify that? Because not a lot of people can plyo jump with their arms and legs across the floor, especially if they're working on cement. You know, there's all kinds of variables there. But that's my favorite thing, to sort of piece together moves, name moves, and put them in sequences where people's never have seen that before.
Yeah.
So that's where that's what my favorite thing in the world to do is. Because a lot of people are like, oh my God, you're still doing step back lunges with weights? Holy smokes! Like, come on! You know, add something to that. Do something to that. But don't make it too complicated. A lot of people thought the P90X 2 was, you know, too much of this, like rubbing your stomach, patting your head while chewing gum and speaking a foreign language, right? But the people hung in there. You know, when you're good at everything, of course you're going to beat the pants out of everybody else who's training the same way as their grandparents did or their high school PE teacher taught them. You know what I mean? I'll go to professional and collegiate teams, and you know how many high school, college, and professional teams go, I want you doing P90X in the off season. That's what I want you to do. Just do that and come back. And then everybody else who didn't do it, they're smoking them.
Yeah.
They're smoking them.
So what's your prediction then, both in the sort of home fitness and the industry? Where do you think things are going next? You mentioned that there's more change in the last 5 years than probably the previous 20 or 30. What do you think the next 5 years hold in terms of, you know, the experience and what people are looking for?
Well, if you look at you look at the advent of some of what you've created. You know, like look at your medicine balls, look at your tires, look at your plyo boxes. I mean, you just want to play. I mean, a lot of it is aesthetic, but it's also functional. And I think more and more people like yourself, like the Vibrant plates over here next door, they're beautiful, like pieces of art. Like 10 years ago, they looked like, well, I don't know, some kind of industrial thing that you'd find in a warehouse. You know, it's aesthetics. Apple does a beautiful job, right? I mean, you know, you don't even want to throw away their packaging because it's so, you're like, well, I got to put my socks in here. I don't know what I'm going to do with this stuff. That's part of it, because that draws the user to wanting to play.
Right.
All right. And I would hope that some of the trends going forward are maybe things I've already done in the past. You know, I'm not going to say that I want everybody to jump on my back and, you know, go for that ride, but variety. I think anybody in this industry that gets away from sort of a myopic look, right? Because they put all their time and energy and finances into this thing that they think is going to be the greatest thing, but it's just a thing. It's one thing. You know, you've got a lot of things here. Like, oh, well, the tires are nice, and the plyo box is nice, and the med balls, and what is that? Look how beautiful, and look how functional and clean. I want to put that in my living room as a piece of art. You know what I mean? I think that all those things matter. Aesthetics matter, quality matters, functionality matters, and variety matters. And if you're in that world, then I think you're going to be successful in the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay. So just for a couple of quick questions before we finish, but before I go on to those, just a few ways that people can find you and your program. So where you mentioned the seminar that you've got, and what other things have you got going on, and where can they see those?
Well, I'm going to be at the Omega Institute in upstate New York in Rhinebeck. It's an annual thing. I do it every year. It's just this beautiful location up in Rhinebeck. So if you're on the East Coast, I mean, I have people come in from all over the country to come to Omega, and that'll be at the end of August. But anything and everything, whether you want to buy my T-shirts, I have some really fun T-shirts. Tony Horton Live, Tony Horton Fitness. I have one that says "Aging is for Idiots." That's usually strikes up a conversation. I have another one that says "Fame is lame." There's a story behind that. And I just love making some fun clothing. We're gonna be doing hats and other things soon. So there's the Omega event, there's the hat, then there's Tony Horton Care, which is my hair and skincare line. All Prop 65 compliant, Whole Food compliant. You're not tested on animals. It's the real deal for both men and women. 5 awesome products. That's the reason I'm 60, Because of TH Care. Thank you. And everything is on TonyHortonLife.com.
Okay.
TonyHortonLife.com. All my events, all my products. You can buy tickets to Paragon as well there if you want to come back down here to San Diego at the end of September. But TonyHortonLife.com is where you will find me.
And there's no cheap mouth guards on there, is there?
No mouth guards or insoles or home delivery food anymore. But there's a lot of other things there that I'm excited about. Yeah.
So just a couple of quick questions before we finish then. So how do you stay hungry and motivated?
I hate being poor. Because I love what I do. I love what I do, man. I mean, after we're done, I'm going to go do chest and back for an hour and a half. I love training. And we're going to go into a gym I've never been in before. I'm going to look around and go, all right, man, we'll go plyo push-ups into levers, back down to plyo. Yeah, we'll just make it up. I love making it up. And I've got good people around me. One of my seminars at Paragon is the company you keep. If you're around a bunch of badasses, man, living large, having fun, smiling, you know what I mean, living in this lifestyle, chances are it'll be easier for you. You're not around a bunch of crack addicts, looking to go to McDonald's and order a triple cheeseburger. It really is. It's the people that I have in my life.
I guess you have to make an effort to, because some people, we've probably all been there where you don't have great people around you. And
I mean, a lot of people are dragging you down. And so you have to, you got to say, I mean, a lot of the people that I hung out with 15, 20, 30 years ago, I don't see them anymore. Yeah. They're just not in my world. I got new ones. All my friends are half my age. They're 25 to 40. Which I'm all right, they keep me moving. So that's really, I mean, to stay motivated, man, is sort of, you gotta eat right and you gotta exercise. That's the bottom. The two things you control, what you do physically and how you eat, allows you to continue to kick ass in every category of your life. If you're constantly fighting your demons and you're not taking care of yourself physically, if you're not taking care of yourself physically, then that also means that simultaneously you're not taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally. This physical activity affects the noggin much more. This is all ego and aesthetics and athleticism and whatever else. But movement, the oxygen from moving at high rates of speed, the yoga, the martial arts, the cardio, the HIIT training, releases norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin, brain-derived neurotropic factor, which allows the temporal lobe, the hippocampus, the dentate gyrus, this little string inside the center of your brain to go, yippee-yi-yay, let's go! Right? But if you don't move and you're eating crap, that little dentate gyrus grows old and wrinkled and turns black, and you can't figure out why you got early onset curmudgeon disorder, which eventually will turn into chronic curmudgeon disorder. Look at old people. Oh, I don't want to learn, I don't want to go, I want to just bitch and complain, right? So the two things you control, your gob and what you use, will make everything else but a dream.
Great answer. I think that's the best one for that question.
Thank you.
What's next on what's the next thing on your goal list that you want to achieve that you haven't?
Oh, you're going deep now, man. I think we were talking before our conversation here. I had Ramsay Hunt syndrome in October of 2017. Put me down pretty good for about 6 months. I still suffer from an after effect of that, which is bilateral vestibular hypofunction, which is a form of vertigo. So as I sit here with you, I'm a little dizzy. I'm dizzy 24/7, so it's a big challenge. And so what that illness or that ailment does is it allows me to enjoy life more, to kick back more, to enjoy my friends more, to still train hard, to still do the things that I love, but to find the downtime, letting the pendulum swing evenly in both directions. So one of my 20 things is learning how to relax and to vacation and to laugh and to, set up your abode so it's, you got the good mattress and the good pillow and the good sheets and the good lighting and the great music and the whatever else you want to add to the room. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We're so there's too many people that are here. You know what I mean? Here. Yeah. And they're working, and they're growing, and it's great. And when you're in your 20s and 30s and 40s, that's great, but your 50s and 60s are coming, guaranteed. You know what I mean? So just for me, working hard, but still going to Florence, going to London, going to Paris, going to Norway, going to Jackson Hole for a month and a half and ripping pow every friggin' day, and then going to the gym at night and cranking it up, and then hanging and having eaten just the side of an elk. You know what I mean? Like writing down the things that bring you great pleasure and bring you great joy, and hang out with the people that make you laugh hard, because that's what all this other stuff is about.
Right.
Is to get to that, and we forget about that.
Yeah.
That's my goal coming up. For sure. Yeah.
And final question before the security kicks us out. This is our final question, security. Escape Your Limits is about doing something that you've believed or other people have told you that's impossible and making it possible. What would be one of your most memorable examples of escaping your own personal limits?
Well, I had a speech impediment as a kid. It's called cluttering. Can you believe that? No. I had a tough time communicating. No, it was devastating, because I was the smallest kid. I got the snot beat out of me. I got stuffed in the locker. I got the lunch money stolen. All that stuff, And then when you're small and not athletic, and there's a lot of that going on, you're a target, right? And so for me, it was moving to California with $400 in my pocket across the country, running out of money. I was a professional mime. I was a trained mime. Of course, I found a way to perform where I didn't have to talk. Hey, and Matthew. So for me, it was stand-up comedy, it was improv, it was scene study, it was learning how to read a teleprompter, forcing myself to, go to the extreme when it came to combating the fear of communicating with people. And now it's the easiest thing I do. People go, don't you get scared when you're in front of 15,000 people? No. Do you get scared when you jumped out of a Chinook at 15,000 feet? I was a little scared, but I did it anyway, So for me, it's for somebody who, I said no to everything. I said no to so many opportunities, and I delayed my ability to become successful, partly because I was so insecure, because it was so hard for me to communicate with people. But at the same time, I before fitness and all this, I dove deep into personal development, man. Andrew Weil, Deepak Chopra, Tony Robbins, Richard Carlson, Viktor Frankl. I mean, I have a whole, how do I be a better human being? I didn't learn that in school. And so that helped me get through this little stage. And when I did, everything opened up for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we are being kicked out, so I appreciate this. Is wonderful.
Security officer, don't take me to jail.
Yeah. So best of wishes for everything. Thank you very much for your time. Great story.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. A lot of fun.
Hardcore. Get some. Hardcore. Get some. Do your best and forget the rest. We all know aging is for idiots. Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, then please go over to iTunes and subscribe to the Escape Your Limits podcast. Leave a review, leave a comment. It really would help us a lot to continue to keep these going.